Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and today guys we're going to be jumping down into the world of XRP, reviewing the price action with what's been going on, what we think is likely to happen next, jumping into the world of on-chain data and the latest XRP news. Buckle yourselves in as we get into this video, and if you do find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, what are you waiting for? Check it out, linked in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. So why not go ahead and check it out? If you're watching us on X, give us a follow and a repost. We do help push the content out to more like-minded individuals. We do appreciate that. Let's jump right down into this video, starting things off with the 1 hour time frame. So here we have XRP paired up with USDT. We're using the BitGo spot exchange here. And kind of following on from yesterday's video, we are still potentially looking for this move up towards our resistances. And it's no shocker that our 200 EMA is now into this area as well. So this is 52.662 to 52.800. The 200 EMA there currently sat at 52.686. Now, we're looking at this as a potential three-wave corrective pattern to the upside. I say potential because it's still valid. It can, of course, continue to go down, and if we breach this low down here on the 51.052, then of course this is not valid. But you can see the one-to-one right here. I'm going to just go ahead and draw this a little arrow. It might be a little bit hard to see on the screen. But right here is the one-to-one, this yellow line inside our yellow box, happens to coincide with our 200 EMA and is at 52.710. So this particular area is our most common area for a C wave to kind of go to. So we'd have this kind of pattern coming up to here. Can of course break up a little bit higher, more towards 53 if it needed to. But for the most part, I think this is the area of resistance. This is the 200 EMA, which is suppressing price at the moment. It's right there on the one-to-one. So I'm expecting XRP's price here to just kind of move up towards this target range. Now it's oversold on the hourly chart. It's oversold on the 4-hourly chart. And so therefore, I do think we have momentum to support the idea of a move to the upside. Anything lower than 51.072 though will basically prevent this from happening, so we'll kind of keep that in mind. But for the hourly chart there, it's an interesting one. We can kind of see a potential move to the upside. This does not distract us from the fact that we are still in this theoretical short position and have been since up here on the 20th of August, and we are still targeting out down here at 45 to 46 cent on the immediate, and then all the way down here on the 5th wave low at 35 to 39. But those are longer term plays that are going to take a long time to kind of play out. And of course, we know that invalidations are going to be sat way up here at 59.739, and if we do break up higher than our wave 4 high, it just means that we're still in wave 4 at the 55.750. Ultimately though, we have a 5-wave move to the downside, and I think all we're doing right now is gearing ourselves up for a big drop to the downside. It's just the markets are not ready just yet. So everything's still pretty much in play on the 1 hour time frame. So let's go ahead and take this up into the daily. And here we can see that clearer path to the downside, right? This next move, the 5th wave that I was just talking about, essentially is all a part of our daily 3rd wave structure. Okay, so once complete, we expect a significant surge upwards, and that would be a great opportunity to trade, in my opinion, because I do think we'll see a pretty significant move to the upside on XRP's price action. However, I think it will be reasonably short-lived, and we'll just move on down again. You can see that the stochastic RSI on our daily chart is progressing up towards the overbought area, so it's not looking overly strong considering we're finding the resistance on that 200 daily EMA. Let me bring this across here. You can see that we've just been resting and trying to push our way through it and not really getting any ground. This has meant that we are seeing the stochastic RSI move to the upside, up towards overbought, whilst we are not really able to kind of rally up past that resistance. This is a bearish tell because we can find the resistance here, yet our momentum indicator is kind of grinding its way to the upside. Running out of momentum, so highly likely that we are likely to see a pull to the downside on our daily time frame. Of course, this is a daily time frame, so it takes weeks to kind of play out, but we can see that we are heading down, in my opinion, towards our 35-39 cent target range for our wave 3 low point. Okay, and again, if we don't hit that wave 5 low and we break that structure, then in fact we're not doing a 5-wave count to the bottom here, where we are targeting out this little area at 30 to 33 cent and potentially even lower after that. But for the most part, we are where we are right now. We'll keep a close eye on it, but there's some opportunities here for a longer term short. If we were to short on the daily time frame and kind of hold it open for a multiple week period, then of course there's going to be opportunities in that as well, which we'll talk about that later in the video. Let's take this up into the weekly, and here we can see that we're finding support on the weekly 50 EMA at the moment, but I suspect that we're probably going to have to come down and bounce upon some of the 200 EMA at 47.94 before briefly losing that and going down into those additional lows. I do suspect we are not yet done with our moves to the downside on our weekly time frame, and this is pretty obvious because we have a pretty clear and consistent singular wave to the downside here, which is consisting of that 5-wave pattern on our daily time frame. From here we'll bounce on up and then potentially move all the way back down and test the existing lows. Okay, and you can argue that this might look like a head and shoulder pattern, which is another way of articulating this. Without wave patterns and wave structures, we can, of course, if I can find it, I'm pretty certain it's in here. Not that one, this one, the head and shoulder pattern, right? So if we were to think about it as a head and shoulder pattern, we'd have our left shoulder here, we'd have our head coming up here, we're coming down, it'll bounce up into our right shoulder and we'll come down. Now this is a neater example of it because I do think we'll probably find that we'll lift this up a little ways and it could be articulated slightly differently, but for the most part you can kind of see here that we'll look for this move to the downside. We'll kind of come into that kind of 33 cent range, 35, 39 cent range, bounce up into the right shoulder and then move on down. Again, a bearish pattern here, not a bullish one. Again, Elliott wave theory kind of shows us the path to this end ready anyway, where we can kind of see this happening, and you can see how that would be essentially just the head and shoulder pattern if you do not follow Elliott wave theory. But ultimately it's all there. We can kind of see what the pattern is. This is after hitting the high expectation of 93.76. We actually wicked up to the 93.8. So we hit the C wave highs, got rejected on the 382, and we move on down. So ultimately everything's kind of aligning quite nicely here. I suspect that we're going to see some volatility on XRP. We will see a small bounce upwards before moving on down and all that kind of wonderful stuff. So from a technical analysis standpoint, expect some interesting moves on the hourly chart and dailies, but essentially everything is kind of going along as per expected at the moment. But what about the on-chain world and the news? Well, if we bring up the membership.𝗕𝗘𝗪crypto.io website, this is our membership website where we hold a lot of on-chain data for various different protocols and things like that for members to kind of enjoy. There's a 7-day free trial across all the plans, so why not go ahead and check that out if you haven't done so already. Just remember that if you do not want to continue your subscription, you go to your profile, you go to your subscription area and you cancel it. If you do not cancel it, you will be charged. But I think most people will actually think that there's a good amount to be found inside what we offer within our plans and probably won't cancel. But that's kind of my gamble. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. We're here, though, to talk about the data zone. The data zone in our website has XRP on-chain data, and we're going to load that up here. So on our on-chain data, we can see lots of different things, such as the amount of transactions there were in the last 24 hours, 1.175 million. So really, really high transaction throughput. In fact, if I load up the Ethereum report, bearing in 1175 was XRPs, we had a lot more transactions on XRP than we do on Ethereum. And we'll note that it costs $5.8 million in Ethereum fees to do 995 transactions, right? 995,000 transactions. When we compare that to XRP, we can see it's 1.1 million transactions and it costs $1,000. So we know that XRP is far more superior than Ethereum when it comes to moving money around, right? And so there's a lot of things going on with the XRPL. We obviously have a fantastic ecosystem there for NFTs and so much more that's going to be built on that ecosystem when it comes to smart contract functionality and various different things. And so when we take a look at layer ones, XRP is a clear winner and contender when it comes to understanding that it's doing exactly what it's designed to do, move money around the world incredibly efficiently. So it's great to see that, and it's quite easy to see it within the data here. Now we're going to come over to the wallet counts. We want to take a look at their wallets and see whether or not we've got large investors still exiting their positions. In the last 7 days, 100,000, actually just go start with the million, 1 million XRP or more. On the 28th of August, it was 2,116 wallets. It's actually down 0.14% in the last 7 days. So we know that there is a bit of progression to the downside here in the last kind of week or so with these really wealthy 1 million or more XRP wallets. When we take a look at the 100,000 XRP or more, there's 32,983 wallets. It's actually down 0.28% in the last 7 days. It's actually down aggressively in the last 90 days, to be fair, as it had this move to the upside. Some exit liquidity was clearly provided. 0.26% in the last 90 days down, 0.76% in the last 30 days. But across the board, though, if we take a look at it from a yearly point of view, actually across the year, we actually see a lot of progression here, a lot of accumulation for XRP, right? 12.14% on the million. XRP or more, and 19.32% on 100,000 XRP or more. So we know that the wealthy level, although they might be taking some profits right now, they have been aggressively accumulating over the last 365 days. Now, as we kind of scale this back more towards the retail investor, we don't tend to see so much of the liquidity grabbing and selling into the move upwards so much. We actually see that they're buying the dip here. There's 274,222 wallets that have over 10,000 XRP in them, and it's up 0.74%. So where we see these larger wallets selling, it's being soaked up by the smaller wallets, right? So it's good to see that there's still accumulation happening here. But of course, you know, like all money markets, we do expect to see profits getting taken, and it usually happens at the wealthier level before it happens at the retail layer. So for all in all, I think it's looking very, very good. Now let's take a look at some news, right? So Ripple to host a massive victory party following the SEC win, which, you know, isn't really what's going on here. But ultimately, I think it's an interesting one, right? So Brad Garlinghouse has basically put a tweet out. As promised, it's time for that proper victory party. The last few years have been quite the journey, and I look forward to sharing celebratory toasts on September 29th in New York City. We're hosting a community celebration on September 29th in New York. So stay tuned for more details. Now, obviously, using a word victory party in there could be a subtle hint that maybe something's bubbling in the background, maybe settlements are there, maybe they're not, I don't know. But for the most part, as far as I'm aware, there's no real kind of like victory as such right now. There's little mini battles that are being won, and there's a lot of speculation around whether or not they'll actually see a day in court based on the fact that the SEC have got a lot of other court proceedings going on. They're trying to fit them in, or trying to fit Ripple in. Q2 of next year is being a bit of a challenge. So a lot of people are speculating that they maybe never go to court at all, and maybe it'll just be settlement and whatnot. And so anyway, lots of things going on there with that. I think it's going to be a positive. So there's a date in the diary there, September 29th. Now I'm over in Vegas on September 28th. So I wonder if there's a little short trip over to New York maybe. One to talk to Chris about maybe. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see us over here celebrating with Brad Garlinghouse. So let's go ahead and take a look over at some other news. So Ripple rally ahead. Key indicator signals 20% price explosion. I didn't think that a 20% move was an explosion, but you know, there you go. I actually see a 40% move to the upside, but I think before we can do that, we have to see some downside pressure first. So just expect some volatility essentially. I don't think there's actually too much in here that's noteworthy outside of kind of what we've already spoken about, but I thought it was interesting that it was a 20% move apparently is an explosion. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on that. I think we actually have a progression more towards 40%. Maybe that's a bit more of a mass explosion. I don't know. You can leave your comments below and let me know what you think about all of that. Let's go ahead and take a look at our exchange-based data. So $1.1 million of liquidations in the last 24 hours. OKX was the exchange with the most amount of liquidations at $651,000. 56.9% were long positions getting wiped out, and 43.01% were short positions that were liquidated. OKX represents 55.79% of all liquidations, Bybit 23.64%, Binance 14.72%, Huobi at 5.8%, right? So unusual activity. Yes, we have an unusual activity with Binance being lower than you would normally expect it to be. $171,000 of liquidations with Binance. Now, this percentage shift around basically then makes it look like there's more liquidations happening at the Bybit and OKX level, but actually what's really going on here is there's less liquidations really going on than you would normally expect to see with Binance. And this is probably due to pulling out of jurisdictions and some regulatory issues that are going on with Binance and some legal battles and stuff like that. So for the most part, I think there's nothing unusual going on here. The imbalances between the norm of what we would normally expect to see between the exchanges and the liquidations, I think is really just driven to the fact that there's lower volumes being pushed through on Binance than there would normally be. So interesting kind of takeaways there from that kind of point of view. But you guys know that BitGet is my go-to platform at the moment. I use it for 100% of my leverage trades and 90 to 95% of my spot trades. If you haven't yet signed up to BitGet, what are you waiting for? Stop sitting on your hands. Let's get on it, right? Links in the description down below. If you do sign up using that affiliate link in the description, you will be eligible eligible for up to $8,000 of rewards. That is dependent on how much you deposit and trade on the platform. More details can be found in that link. Now, I think it's a great strategy to make sure that you're registered and are familiar with how to use as many exchanges as possible. Now, it wasn't that long ago that I was really heavy user on Binance and Coinbase and a few of these other platforms as well, right? And it wasn't really until I started using BitGet a bit more that I actually realized that this platform is very, very good at what it does. It's very intuitive, and it quickly became my go-to platform. And I think it can become your go-to platform as well. That is not to say that it's the only exchange that I have an account with, though. I am registered, as I said, Binance, Coinbase, KuCoin, Gate.io, Crypto.com, 𝗕𝗓𝗄, Bybit, and all these exchanges are very, very important to me because I like to make sure that I have variety in options when the time comes that I need to liquidate assets. I do not keep my crypto assets on the exchanges, but I do want to move my crypto to an exchange when I want to sell it. And therefore, I need to make sure that the exchange that I am registered on is going to be up, active, and actually functioning when I want to sell. And sometimes in the bull market, there's so much demand that these exchanges go down and you cannot log on and you cannot liquidate your assets. So as such, it's a great strategy to have access to as many of these exchanges as you can and give yourself as many options as you possibly can. Personally, I think BitGet will be perfectly fine in the bull market, and that's why it's becoming my quick go-to platform. And I think it's going to perform incredibly well and be one of the go-to platforms in the next bullish market. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Are you already registered? Are you looking to register? And all that kind of wonderful stuff. I think, though, guys, that's going to bring us on now into the area for our trades for today's video. XRP. So we still have the idea of a short position here for XRP, even though we might actually progress back upwards a little ways. So this is what we're talking about earlier, right? So we could come out of a short position and go back in. I think we're going to see a move upwards towards 52.6 to 52.8. This particular move is going to be approximately about 2 point something percent. Nothing major, but something pretty meaty nonetheless. And from here, we could potentially short. And if we do put a short in here, we can obviously use the swing high up here on the 53.650 as our stop loss. And we can obviously push this down quite significantly. We would expect to come down and break lower than 50 cent, which gives us a nice risk reward ratio of about 2.5 if we're just looking for scalping moves and things like that. If we're actually looking for bigger plays altogether, we actually have got the option to hold a trade for a multiple week period. It would be a short trade here. We would look for a better entry, probably on the 200 EMA where we're finding the resistance. We'd put our stop loss above the 50 EMA there, or potentially even above what would break our structure on the wave one low at 59.739. And then we'll look to take our profit down here at this low side on around the kind of 39 cent area, approximately here. This gives us a risk reward ratio of about 1.7, and it'll be something that would take weeks and weeks to play out, okay? And so there's plenty of options when it comes to trading. But I do think we have to be shorting the market considering we're below the 50 and 200 EMA on the daily time frame, and that is the trend direction at the moment. So I think it's important to note that I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot give you financial advice. All I can do is give you my thoughts and opinions on the data in the charts as I personally see it. And if you do have access to a financial advisor, you should probably consult your own financial advisor and see what they have to say about what you should do. I don't know your personal circumstances. I cannot give you financial advice. Everything in this video is just purely educational or my thoughts and opinions in the data as I personally see it. And you should definitely do whatever is right for you, and you should consult a financial advisor if you have access to one. I think, though, guys, I'm going to wrap this video up right there. If you have found it useful and informative, smash the like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Until the next one, though, guys, have a fantastic day.